Take a look at this scene real quick.
Are you okay? They were gonna kill you.
When I heard this, I dropped the game. What is this, a Mr. Beast video? In this video, I'm gonna web swing. I'm literally web swinging. One of the most important parts of a game is the story. Unless it doesn't have one. Writing a story can be very difficult. Every little detail has to be combed through over and over again for a story to be perfect. Unfortunately, no story can ever be perfect, which means that mistakes will happen. And if a mistake in the story is bad enough, it can kill the experience. For example, if you had to guess, do you think that the guards were trying to massage his sore muscles? Perhaps they were trying to tickle him? No, they were obviously trying to kill him. We could have guessed that by simply looking at their weapons and how hard they were swinging. But no, Finn simply had to tell us to make sure we understood. This breaks the rule of show don't tell, which is one way to kill a game. Show don't tell means what it says. Instead of explicitly telling us whatever it is that the story wants us to understand, it can instead show us.
Die.
For example, look at this scene from God of War Ragnarok. You can very clearly see his emotion, yet he didn't say, "I am sad," because he doesn't need to. We know what the bag represents if we've played the previous game, yet he doesn't say,
"I miss my wife."
Boy.
We saw his journey in the previous game, and if we remember it, then this is all the reminder that we need of it. Games have the advantage of telling a story through its world. Elden Ring is a good example of this. The world's history can be discovered simply by looking at the architecture, for example. This kind of storytelling is great because it lets you discover the world's story at your own pace. Speaking of pacing, most games are long, a lot longer than movies or TV shows. This is because they have to fill in the gaps with gameplay. Because games are long, they have the advantage of taking their time with how they present their story. However, a lot of games don't take their time and instead dump a bunch of story details all at once in hopes that the player will remember. And when I say a lot, I mean a lot. A story that's presented too fast can be hard to remember, which can make people want to stop playing. The opposite is also true. Some stories move at such a slow pace that it feels like the end is nowhere in sight. This can make the player uninterested in playing any further. An example of a game that's too slow is Yakuza Like a Dragon. Like a Dragon is a slow game. It has a long story, but the gameplay also slugs the game down at times too because it's a turn-based RPG. Those words already send chills down people's spines because they know just how slow those games can be. That's not to say they're bad, they're just not for everyone. The sweet spot for pacing is hard to find, and it's rare to see a game that actually hits that sweet spot. Portal 2 is a good example of this done right. It's mostly gameplay, but when story beats do happen, they either move at the player's pace with world building, or they move pretty quickly with the dialogue. The world building is used to show the history of Aperture, and the dialogue is used to fill in the gaps left open from simply viewing the world with your eyes. But it's never too much for the player to handle, and is used well partly because of the great characters. Unlike some games.
Did I just do that?
Honestly, do I really need to say anything else?
Aru.
A story and its characters need time to develop. If they don't develop, they become one-dimensional and boring. For example, look at Byleth. They're just a husk of a character, completely empty of any emotion or anything interesting really. And they're like this all throughout the game. They probably did this to put more of an emphasis on the students, but they chose Byleth to be nothing? An example of good development can be found in the first Last of Us. Joel and Ellie start out as complete strangers. Ellie doesn't trust Joel, and Joel wants to get rid of her as soon as possible. But as they travel throughout the post-apocalyptic America, their relationship becomes unbreakable. You wouldn't have been able to predict that if you went into the game blind. The best stories are unpredictable and keep the player on their toes. If a story is too predictable, the player won't be interested in playing any further since they know how it's gonna go. For example, I mentioned earlier how I dropped this game, so I'm gonna beat it real quick. But before I do, I'm gonna guess that Miles saves New York, stops Finn, and she gets arrested. And Uncle Aaron dies or gets arrested. And Peter's gonna come back and be like, "You did good."
One eternity later.
Oh, well, would you look at that? A story is much better if you play it without knowing what's gonna happen ahead of time. This is why unpredictability is important. One of the best ways for a story to be unpredictable is with a plot twist. Shepard's betrayal at the end of Modern Warfare 2 is still one of the most memorable moments in gaming. It works so well because it was so unexpected and it had consequences. That's how you know a plot twist works. But on the other end, at the end of Halo 5, Cortana betrays the Spartans and plans on using the Guardians to do something bad. I don't remember what. Anyway, guess where this goes? Nowhere. In Infinite, it's revealed that she game-ended herself.
Huh?
If you're gonna use a plot twist, do something with it.
Bang.
Or even worse, they don't even tell the story. This one seems like a no-brainer, but clearly it's not to some people. Destiny 2 is another example of this in action. Oh, you paid $50 for an awesome story? Well, here's half of a mediocre one. Sucker. Honestly, this game makes me so angry, I might make a video about it. Let me know if that's something you want to see. Any game, whether it be indie or AAA, can have a great story. The problem is that writing a good story is hard. Attention to detail is a crucial aspect that a lot of stories in games seem to forget. Sometimes a flaw or 2 or 50 can be ignored if the gameplay is good, but if a story has one of the things I mentioned earlier, it can kill the experience for a player and make them want to stop playing altogether. So what I'm trying to say is I don't like this game's story. According to YouTube statistics, you're probably not subscribed. If you enjoy this video, you can join the 1% by subscribing. And if you want to watch another video, watch this one.